Look, you wake up in the morning, grab your phone, and the first thing you do, almost automatically, is check your bank account. And for a second, your chest tightens, because you're not really checking out of curiosity. You're checking to make sure everything is still okay, that nothing unexpected happened overnight, that you're still safe. Now, maybe your balance says $300, maybe fun $200, maybe a little more. But deep down, you already know the truth. One bad week, one emergency, one mistake, and everything starts falling apart. So you start doing mental math. Can I afford this? Should I wait until payday? What if something happens? It's exhausting. And here's the thing. It's not just about money. It's about pressure. Constant low-level pressure that follows you everywhere. At work, at home, even when you're trying to relax. Now imagine this instead. You check your account, and it says $10,000. Same life, same job, same expenses. But suddenly, the pressure is gone, and that's when everything changes. Now, if that feeling sounds familiar, the constant checking, the quiet stress, the sense that you're one step behind no matter how hard you try, then you're not alone. A lot of people are in that exact position. They're working, they're earning, they're even saving a little, but somehow, it never feels like enough. It feels like you're running, but not actually getting anywhere. Like no matter how disciplined you try to be, something always pulls you back. And over time, that creates frustration. Because you start asking yourself, what am I doing wrong? Why does this feel so hard? Shouldn't I be further ahead by now? My name is Demas, and I spend way too much time thinking about money. If you're someone who feels stuck financially, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, this video isn't about telling you to just save more or just invest. It's about understanding what actually changes when you hit your first real financial milestone. Because once you see it clearly, you'll never look at money the same way again. Here's the thing. Most financial advice sounds simple. Spend less than you earn. Save consistently. Invest early. Pay off your debt. And look, on paper, all of that makes sense. But if it were really that simple, more people would already be financially stable. So what's missing? Here's what most people don't realize. These rules assume you're already in a stable position. They assume you have margin. They assume you have discipline. They assume you're not under constant pressure. But when you're living close to the edge financially, those assumptions break. Because suddenly, saving isn't just a decision, it's a sacrifice. Investing isn't exciting, it feels risky. And paying off debt feels like you're moving backward instead of forward. Now, you might be thinking, so are these rules wrong? No, they're just incomplete. Because money isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. It's behavior, it's emotion, it's psychology. And until you fix that part, no amount of good advice will actually stick. That's why hitting $10,000 isn't just about money. It's about changing the conditions that finally make those rules work. Let's make this real for a second. Because this is where the numbers start telling a very different story. Imagine two people with the exact same life. Same job, same salary, same monthly expenses. The only difference? One has $500 saved. The other has $10,000. Now suddenly an $800 emergency hits. Car repair, medical bill, doesn't matter. For the first person, this is a problem. They don't have enough cash, so they reach for a credit card. And here's where it gets dangerous. That $800 doesn't stay $800. At 18-20% interest, if they only make minimum payments, that balance slowly grows. $800 turns into $950, then $100, and keeps going. Not because they're irresponsible, but because they didn't have a buffer. Now look at the second person. Same situation, same $800 expense. They pay it in cash. No interest, no stress, no financial damage. And here's the thing. The difference isn't income. It's positioning. One person is reacting. The other is in control. And that small difference, over time, it becomes everything. Now let's take it one step further. Because avoiding problems is one thing. But creating opportunities, that's where the real shift happens. Imagine the market drops 20%. For most people, that's scary. Prices are falling, headlines are negative, everyone is panicking. But here's the thing. That's actually when some of the best opportunities show up. Now, look at our two people again. The first person with $500 in savings is stuck. Even if they know it's a good time to invest, they can't do anything. Because all their money is already committed. Rent, bills, food, survival. So they watch from the sidelines. Now the second person with $10,000, they have options. They can take $2,000, just a portion, and invest it, without touching their safety net, without risking their stability. And this is where it gets really interesting. Let's say that $2,000 grows at 8% annually. In 10 years, it becomes around $4,300. In 20 years, close to $9,300. Same market, same opportunity. But only one person was in a position to act. Because wealth isn't just about knowing what to do, it's about being able to do it when it matters. Now let's talk about something a lot of people struggle with. The question that always comes up. Should I invest or pay off my debt? And look, this is where things get a little uncomfortable. Because the honest answer isn't always what people want to hear. Let's say you have $10,000 saved, but you also have $5,000 in credit card debt at 18% interest. Now, you might be thinking, if I invest, I could earn 8%, maybe more. But here's the thing. That 18% interest you're paying, that's guaranteed. Every single year. No volatility, no uncertainty. So mathematically, paying off that $5,000 debt is like earning an instant 18% return. Risk-free. That's almost impossible to beat in the market consistently. But here's what most people don't realize. This isn't just about maximizing returns. It's about removing drag. Debt is like running uphill with weight on your back. You can still move forward, but it's slower, harder, and exhausting. Remove the debt, and suddenly every step you take actually moves you further. That's when progress starts to feel real. Now, let's shift away from numbers for a second, because this is the part most people completely underestimate, the psychology. Here's the thing. Your financial life isn't just shaped by how much you earn. It's shaped by how you feel about money. Before you hit $10,000, your decisions are often driven by pressure, not logic. That's where concepts like loss aversion come in. Losing $100 feels worse than gaining $100 feels good. So you avoid risk. You hesitate. You stay stuck. Now add instant gratification. When money is tight, spending doesn't feel irresponsible. It feels like relief, a small reward in a stressful system. So you buy things not because you need them, but because you need to feel better. And then there's risk tolerance. Before you have a cushion, any risk feels dangerous. Even smart investments feel like gambling. But after $10,000, something changes. You're not reacting anymore. You're choosing. You can zoom out. Think long term. You're not trying to survive the next month. You're planning the next decade. And that mental shift, that's what actually starts building wealth. This is where it gets really interesting, because once you step back and look at it differently, you realize something most people completely miss. Wealth isn't just about how much money you have. It's about how many choices you have. This is what wealthy people understand early. They don't chase money just to spend it. They build money to create optionality, the ability to say no, the ability to wait, the ability to choose what's actually best, not just what's urgent. Now think about your own situation. If your expenses are $2,000 a month and you only have $500 saved, you don't really have options. You have pressure. You have deadlines. You have to say yes to jobs, to overtime, to things you don't even want. But with $10,000, you've just bought yourself time. Maybe 4, 5, even 6 months of breathing room. And that changes how you move. You negotiate differently. You don't tolerate bad situations as easily. You think clearer, because you're no longer operating from fear. Here's the thing. Money doesn't just buy things. It buys space. And in that space, you make better decisions. And those decisions, they compound faster than money ever could. So the question now becomes, how do you actually get there? And what do you do once you arrive? Because knowing all of this means nothing without action. First, you need a clear target. $10,000 sounds big, but break it down. That's about $833 a month, around $27 a day. Suddenly, it feels more doable. Now, here's the thing. Don't rely on motivation. It fades. Instead, build systems. Automate your savings the moment your income hits. Make it non-negotiable. Treat it like a bill you owe to yourself. Next, if you have high-interest debt, attack that first. Because every dollar you pay off is a guaranteed return. No investment is more consistent than that. Then once you hit $10,000, split it with intention. Keep a portion as your safety net, and allow a portion to grow. This balance is what keeps you stable and moving forward. Look, this isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Because the truth is, the first $10,000 doesn't just change your bank account. it changes your behavior. And once your behavior changes, everything else starts to follow.